is a lot more intuitive than the actual Amazon GUI, and I'm going to take a minute to show you what that looks like. Hopefully nobody copies down my Amazon key numbers. So I'm going to bring that over, and does everyone, well, you guys can kind of see, but let me just explain this. So this is actually a plugin that you can download if you use Firefox for managing all your AMIs. Now, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get in to see my. Let's try it one more time. So it's not going to let me in, but I'll give you a brief explanation of what's happening. This first screen is going to have all the Amazon images on it, so it'll let you choose which image you'd like to launch. Oh, wow, that's kind of magical for me. So this is a listing of all the images currently on the cloud. So if you think of it as walking into a server room and seeing all these different servers with different operating systems on them, purposed differently. My specific instance should be here somewhere, and it should say private. I don't know if I can find it.
You're saying that some of those are public and you can just click on them and look at them?
You can click on them and launch them. So any of these instances I can click on and launch. One of the cool applications of this is that, say you want to set up a Windows server and you want somebody else to deploy 3 or 4 of them, you can just save it back to the cloud. It sits there, and then when you're ready to use them, you just pull them out. Let me see if I can this file. You'll notice that they give you availability stats and things like that. Let's see. There's Amazon, so let's go. All right, you'll notice that some of these are Amazon images and some of them are not. The purpose of this is to show you that the Amazon images are probably the gold images, and you'll notice here you have platform. That column tells you if it's going to be a Windows instance or not. I'm going to just go for a simple Windows instance, and then I'm going to do I think it's a right click, and it's register a new AMI, launch instance of this AMI, I'm sorry. And so what it's going to do is it's going to pop this up and say, all right, so what is it? What's your AMI ID? What's the instant type? Maximum number of instances, blah, blah, blah. Basically, this is some information about the actual image itself. I'm choosing small, but you can see there's medium, extra large, kind of like French fries. But in this instance, we're just going to go with the small. And what happens now is you see down here in my actual window, I'm getting a pop-up that's telling me, hey, there's something pending. So what's going to happen is it's going to go off and actually, if you think of it, virtually create a new computer. So if you're in your data center, a new computer is popping out, and it's being racked in and plugged up and getting ready to go. All right. What time does this end? 6:45. Okay. So how am I doing on time? Okay, good. I'm gonna head back into the prezo and kind of run you through this. Okay. So what I've just shown you in Firefox is now what you can do using the Amazon web interface. And so here's what we're gonna do. Let's get back. Okay. So what I just showed you, and this is why sometimes I think this is probably a simpler way to do it. I just had to go through this pretty, I guess, guess, archaic menu to find that Windows instance. When you're using the Amazon dialog, you pretty much just get what you want. Now there's different instances out there, some that do use authentication services and some of them that do not. So I chose that one.
Do you want to explain the difference there real quick, just so people understand authenticated versus unauthenticated?
I personally don't know a good explanation of it, but if you do.
So authenticated means that you're actually using the Windows security APIs.
Okay.
So if you're creating 100 Windows users and somebody logging into your web app has to hit that Windows authentication API,
yeah,
you need authenticated instance.
Ah.
If you've got your own, database full of users, and when somebody logs in, it's just going through your own authentication layer, you can do unauthenticated.
So I guess my question there is, could you add a domain server? So say you have a domain server on site at your workplace. Mm-hmm. That domain server could then go out and authenticate.
If there's a domain involved, it has to be authenticated.
Okay.
So if anything is touching the Windows authentication layer for more than 2 or 5 users,
yeah,
which is like admins, you have to go authenticate.
And certain applications require the use of authentication services as well.
Yes, absolutely right.
Okay. That's good to know. Thank you guys. That was Chris Sears, and what was your name?
George Reese.
George Reese. Thank you. Next, you're kind of going through and doing this thing called a key pair. Now, a key pair is the way that Amazon knows to tie your instance to your certificate. Is that I think that's a reasonable explanation. And for all intents and purposes, you're just naming it something relevant. Just don't make it something that is totally irrelevant to your machine or not. Just try to make it mnemonic and remember what you're creating. It's kind of a tip, I guess. Here you're entering a name for your security group, enter a description, select which connection methods you'd like to authorize for your instance. Okay, so somebody can win a prize here, and the prize is everyone's respect. If you can tell me what port number RDP connects on.
3389.
3389, let's write that down, because that's really important if you ever want to see your Windows machine. It's 33899, is that right?
3389.
89. 30.
3389.
All right. So here, as part of the process, you have to create a security group. And why do you want to create a security group? So you can open up the port. Now, without a security group, that means you can't open up the port, and you can't connect to your Windows instance, although you're paying for it on Amazon. I've gone through this several times, so just that's a sore point on my end. So let's just say you create one default. Usually default's already there. If it's not, well, you may want to call someone. Here you notice you have a dialog for number of instances, instance type. Obviously you've already created your key pair, so it's bonded between your account, Amazon, etc., and your security group. Okay. So next, you'll get your instances now launching. Now, I will revert back to using the other dialog because I'm more familiar with it and I'm used to that. And you would also get a similar dialog on the Amazon screen. Does anyone have any questions about that, or is that it? I know it's somewhat confusing. So let me bring that back up. Okay, so the dialog here that you can't read because it's whited out says pending. What I want to do is I want to refresh that. So I'm going to come over here and click on that button, and it's going to refresh. So somewhere in these United States, there is an instance with my name on it. Now, what's the first thing I want to do? Oh, I want to log in. So I'm going to right-click and say Get Administrator Password. Now that's an interesting thing for me to